What's going on, all you wild ninjas out there? It's your two favorite turtle impersonators back here for Cinephellas. I'm Logan Angelo. That's my good mate up there.
And I'm Henry Donatello. And good evening. We're back tonight, and we are back here to review the all new Turtles film. It's finally here, the animated film coming from the minds of Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, the dynamic duo bringing their comedic sense to the world of the Turtles, rebooting the franchise. And that's right, we are back to review Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem.
My son, Michelangelo, you have heart. Donatello, you have wisdom. Raphael, you have bravery. And Leonardo, honor.
Enough talk! I dream about fighting every night!
You've got a rage problem, right?
It's not a problem!
That's right. I've been really looking forward to this film since I saw the first trailer. Me and you have been talking about this, being huge fans growing up with the Ninja Turtles. The first movie came out in 1990, still probably the best one. Love that movie, how dark it was, and really the introduction of the characters and to all the merchandise and pop culture phenomenon that it was back then. It still is to this day with many iterations of cartoons and movies they put out. And now the new animated film Mutant Mayhem, which is riding off the coattails of Spider-Man and Across the Spider-Verse, in the first and 2nd film. Beautiful looking films, animated, just really blew you away. In this film, they take it to the next level with the animation and really setting up these characters behind me.
Yeah, the Turtles were huge, in our childhoods. We remember all the toys, having the lunch boxes, pretending with our friends to be the Turtles. I remember this one kid in my class said he had a underground hideout in the sewer. He said he had made like a turtle shell. He had size. Of course, it was all a big, childhood elementary school lie, but just thinking about how cool it was, this universe, it was huge back when we were, in grade school during the 90s. And it's had several reboots, none being that great. But luckily, this one hit all the right notes for the both of us, I think, for the most part, and what we were talking about, and really introduces it to the new generation of kids, the TikTok generation, as you will, teenagers in this society we live in today, everybody on their phones. And that's really what, this film brings to the table. It is a reboot, but it brings forward a lot of the characters that we remember from the TV show and movies. Baxter Stockman is one that I remember back from the cartoon. He's back in this. And the story, starts kind of with him and with all these mutants, this ooze, and this, crime syndicate that's going around trying to collect all these, different sort of animals and making them into mutants to give them power, basically. And we even get just a small little backstory on how the Turtles were created, even Master Splinter there. And this time, all the Turtle Boys are voiced by actual teenagers, and Splinter voiced by Jackie Chan.
Yeah, and it's really cool. You kind of see how they became the Turtles that we know and love. As young kids with the ooze and also other mutants that we're familiar with, from the movies and TV shows and stuff like that. They kind of reintroduce them with that, and really has to do with this army of mutants led by Superfly, voiced by Ice Cube. This army of mutants that they have to go against, and they also have to show who they truly are, being young teenagers. New York City looks at them like freaks, so they got to prove themselves and kicking some butt and taking some names. And basically, that's pretty much the setup of the film. But, being voiced by teenagers, they really had that innocence. They're really naive. You can tell they were young kids, not really sure what to do. Over time, they figure out a way to do that. And it introduces April O'Neil, which I loved in this movie, and her introduction. Being a teenager and meeting the Turtles.
Yeah, she was great. It's voiced by the Bears, Ayo Edebiri. She plays April in this. She's a teenager herself, and she's interested in, being a news person, being a journalist, gathering the news and bringing it forward. She does that at her school. It makes her really nervous, though. She's fighting nerves every time that she has tried at school to do, like the introduction and the news at school, when she gets on camera, it freaks her out. But this is kind of her story too, and how she's going to overcome her fears and help the turtles. It's very much a coming of age story, like you had mentioned. That's one thing from like the cartoon and from the movies that they missed and dropped the ball on back in the day. Being teenagers, it's very much a coming of age story in this. And then, of course, being mutants and being, large sized turtles, of course, people are going to look at them weird and they don't feel like they fit in. But this movie gives them an adventure to go on, and villains where they can, show their skills that they have acquired from Master Splinter, and, show humans that they are actually heroes and are on their side and are looking to help the city. And there's some great villains in this, led by Ice Cube. I liked how the whole time he was berating basically all humans. He was just looking to, he was basically playing Ice Cube his younger days when he was a rapper, except he wanted to, make the human race extinct and to become this, big giant villain that controls all of New York. That was kind of his master plan. And he had his own gang, basically, of other supervillains. There's a lot of celebrity voices in this. We mentioned a few already. There's also Paul Rudd, who played Mondo Gecko in there. You have Post Malone as Ray Fillet. And there's some others, Hannibal Buress. Mr. Beast even had a little cameo in there. It's a big voice list. There are some cameos as well. And also some nice throwbacks to even the movies we were talking about. Even part 2, The Secret of the Ooze, where they played the little clip from Go Ninja Go, where Vanilla Ice sang in the second movie. Some nice callbacks to those for, hardcore fans like us who grew up on this stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely some callbacks to the first 2 movies I noticed without saying too much, because I want, people to go see this. But if you're fans of the original, you're going to notice those sprinkled throughout the film. 2 that you didn't mention that were my favorite from the cartoons was Rocksteady and Bebop.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen, John Cena. They were my favorite. I thought they were fantastic in this too. But yeah, there's a lot of voice actors, people that show up along the way. Just a really great time. I love the story of this. I love the whole backstory, how they became, these characters that we know. Great voice actors, young teenagers. You could tell they kind of improvised a lot of this stuff, and it really felt like a relationship, like a family, like a bunch of brothers, especially teenagers going to high school and dealing with all the stress of that, and TikTok generation of the phones and stuff like that. I can only imagine. On top of that being, crime fighters in New York City and taking on this army of mutants. So there's a lot's on their plate, but they really kicked ass in this film. And I just really had a great time with this at the movie theater. Saw this in 3D with my son. He had a great time with this. It was cool seeing the Turtles back on the big screen.
I absolutely agree with you. I love the animation style. It's from the writers and directing team, Jeff Rowe and Kyler Spears of Mitchell's versus Machines. So it kind of has that flavor to it. Very well done. Very nice to look at on screen. The animation's really well done. Feels very fresh and new, much like Across the Spider-Verse, that same kind of cool animation. The score and soundtrack is phenomenal. Loved it. Loved when Superfly was going down the street and bumping some rap music. That was cool too. It hit it out of the park for me. For the most part, it was pretty damn perfect. This movie was awesome. I love seeing it with my son. I'll remember taking him to the theater to see this, going with the whole family. We all had fun with this movie and can't wait to see where it goes from here. It was pretty successful at the box office. So I think we're going to see more in both the TV and film front for this franchise. Happy that it's rebooted again and into something that's worth watching and worth getting invested in. And yes, I really loved Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah, so did I. I want to see more of these films. When the movie ended, I left the movie theater. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen next? I want to see some more films. Hopefully they will make some more, because this is a really great time at the movie theater. See it in 3D, see it in standard. Either way, it's going to be a good time. Great soundtrack, overall score, the overall premise. I love the writing of this, the characters that we remember back from the movies and cartoon as well that show up, and just a really great time with this. Had a blast. One of my most anticipated films of the year, and a movie I would definitely rewatch, and a movie I would definitely buy. So that being said, I'm going to give Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 Seth Rogen hair pieces.
It's also worth mentioning that there's, Seth Rogen's, comedy flair in here. There's several jokes in here that are going to fly over the kids' heads, but are really going to hit home with the parents. I laughed several times. The whole milking sequence was really funny too. Loved how they called it milking. Laughing at that. I had a blast at the theater watching this. I pre-ordered the Steelbook 4K, so I'm definitely going to be watching it again, and can't wait to revisit this again. This was an awesome movie, and I think you guys are all going to enjoy it. All the Cinephellas boys liked it, and we can't recommend it enough. So with that being said, I'm going to give Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 April O'Neil hair pieces.
I want to hear from all you Turtles enthusiasts out there. What did you like about Mutant Mayhem? What didn't you like about it? What's your favorite Ninja Turtle? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to click subscribe.
So thank you guys for watching our review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. These wild boys have been having a blast all summer long in the cinema. Fall is on its way. There's not going to be as many blockbusters, but boy, we've had a lot of fun this year reviewing all these movies for you. There's a few left headed our way, and there's a lot of stuff for us to review the rest of the year. And so stay tuned to our YouTube channel. We're going to be back every week.
I mean, this guy and the rest of their crew are going to be dropping pretty much videos every week for the rest of the year. So there's always something, you know, coming out new on TV and movies or old school stuff we like to watch. So stay tuned, and we have plenty of videos coming very soon.
So cowabunga, dudes. Until the next Cinephellas movie review, I'm Uncle Henry Splinter.
And I'm Logan O'Neil, signing out until the next movie review. Cheers, cowabunga!